Welcome to another weekly Rummage Sale movies, where every week I find 5 Rummage Sale movies to watch and talk about. I still have no light. Well, I mean, I have light, just not light overhead. That light's still working. So, the light quality is still pretty bad. And so, yeah, I'm working on that. And as you can see, thinking like, oh look, just one thing. But no. I found this, and I decided that it would only be fitting to watch this. It is 10 big box movies of horror. So yeah, 10 horror movies. And I'm going to have to watch all of these. Apparently it's over 14 hours. Lucky me. Now I'll just read these off real quick. I've got Prom Night, Occupied, Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou, The Familiar, The Nurse, Direwolf, Killer Killer, Meadow Woods, Howling 4, The Original Nightmare, and Killjoy. And now it's nice that they got both Prom Night and Prom Night 2, so I don't have a Hatchet 3 situation where I'm not sure what's going on. I can watch Prom Night and Prom Night 2 and follow the relative story. I haven't seen the first 3 Howling movies, so I don't know what 4 is going to be like with continuity, but it's like Howling 4, The Original Nightmare, so maybe it's like a prequel type thing, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So, as usual, I'm going to pick a random order to watch these and then get back to you. Okay, I'm back. I just watched 10 of these horror movies. This took so long that this isn't even going to go up on Friday. This is going to have to go up on Saturday, today, the day you're watching this. This was a lot. 14 hours of horror movies. It was a lot. So I'm just going to get into these. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to try not to talk about these for too long. It's not like these are worth talking about for too long anyway. But the first I ended up watching was Prom Night, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'd say the best way to describe Prom Night would be take Halloween and just remove all the good stuff, but keep Jamie Lee Curtis. And remove all the other good stuff. You know, the good score, the good villain, the good deaths, and add disco. And you got Prom Night. Moving on, because who cares. Then I ended up watching Killjoy, which is like some guy's being bullied, so he summons a clown, and the clown doesn't show up until a year after his death, so it's like, what's the point of you, clown? I mean, and so he like lives in this alternate dimension, and the ice cream van he travels in is like a gateway to the alternate dimension, but the alternate dimension is just like a warehouse. So maybe it's not an alternate dimension, maybe the truck is just a teleportation device. But, you know, 3 people, I don't know where they came from, they gotta like stop Killjoy, apparently. And so they team up, they're about to go in the ice cream van, they're like, okay, remember guys, we gotta stick together. And then they go in the ice cream van, and then they teleport to the warehouse dimension, and as soon as they get in there, the one guy's like, okay, I think we should split up, and he dies, of course. So it wasn't very good. It was super low budget and kind of looked like something you would see on YouTube, but that doesn't make it any better. And then I ended up watching Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou. And see, the 2 in Prom Night is kind of deceptive, because it doesn't mean 2 as in the number 2, it means 2 as in also. Like, this is prom night also, because it has literally nothing to do with the first prom night, except for the fact that it takes place on prom. I mean, that's it. I would say, in some ways, prom night also was better than the first prom night, but then in other ways, the first prom night was better than prom night also. So, I don't know. Prom night also, we're gonna think about it. Because again, I've seen 7 movies after this, so some of the earlier ones aren't as fresh in my mind as some of the later ones. Prom night also. The powers of the villain, kind of vague and undefined. It's like, she can, like, crush lockers, but then she needs to, like, I don't know, she comes from, like there's this wardrobe trunk thing that opens up and it's like a gateway to hell or whatever. I don't know. Leslie Nielsen was in one of these prom night movies. I don't remember which one. Maybe the first one. But yeah. So moving on, I watched, let's see if I can remember the order I watched these in. Right. After that, I unfortunately watched Howling 4, the original Nightmare. And this movie is a nightmare, alright. This was terrible. This is up there with one of the worst movies I've ever seen. This is definitely top 10 worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. This was atrocious. This was so bad. Just so bad. Like, the budget for this movie was low, apparently, that they didn't even film sound, so the entire movie was dubbed over, and 2 of the guys sounded the same. Like, they just sounded like one guy doing an accent. Maybe they couldn't get the actor back. Oh, this movie was boring as hell and very slow and not interesting, and the whole premise, too, of like, oh, there's howling in the woods. It's like, I don't get that, because when I lived in near woods area, I would hear coyotes howling, and it, didn't make me think something weird and supernatural was going on. And so this chick's hearing howling, and she's like, oh my god, what's going on here? But I don't know. And apparently, Howling 4 is about howling, because you don't get, like, werewolves or anything until, like, the last 10 minutes of the movie. And I'm not really sure what happened to one character. He kind of, like, melted and then turned into a werewolf, and I don't know. It seems kind of a weird way for a werewolf to transition from human to werewolf, to, like, melt. I don't know, you, like, melted and then, like, reformed from the puddle. It's like, it's clearly their budget went to that melting scene. So. And, what did I watch next? Oh boy, then I watched Direwolf, which I would say is probably the best of these that I watched. Not because of quality or anything. What I did like about Direwolf is this guy, Patrick Ian Williams, something like that. He plays the doctor who invented the direwolf or whatever. But that guy, he was kind of in Lost. He at least portrayed the picture of Alvar Hanso in Lost. The guy who founded, or funded, rather, the guy who funded the Dharma Initiative, if I'm correct in that. But yeah, he's like Alvar Hanso, he like the Hanso Foundation or whatever. It's whole stuff about the alternate reality game that I never really got into with Lost too much. But yeah. So I guess it's just kind of cool that someone remotely connected to Lost was in this movie Direwolf. Special effects were okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't even have the disc in here. Direwolf. It just kind of seemed run-of-the-mill sci-fi movie, you know. Sure. Moving on, I watched Killer Killer, which was hard to find. I was going somewhere with that. I don't know. It's been a long 14 hours. But Killer Killer, it's about like a group of serial killers in a prison, and like some demon chick or whatever was summoned, and now she's killing them. And I'm not really sure what you're supposed to, like, who you root for or who you're supposed to follow or identify with, because even the one guy, he's claiming that, no, I didn't kill anybody. And maybe that's true, but you're still going to be extremely hesitant to believe someone who's locked up in a hospital for serial killers claiming they aren't a serial killer, because that's exactly what someone who is a serial killer would claim. Like, no, I didn't do it. I didn't kill anybody. And then at the end of the movie, we find out he did kill people. So it's just kind of like, who's the main character again? Is it the demon lady that we don't get any information about? That, like, whatever. I guess it was British too. Yeah. I just kind of feel like, at the end, like, what was the point of this? You know, what do you get out of watching this? You know, some low-budget, crappy movie about serial killers dying? Is it supposed to be, like, cathartic or something? Is you supposed to, like, root for them to die? I don't know. Then I watched The Familiar. After that, I watched The Nurse, which was kind of a cool concept, I suppose. Again, this is kind of murky with, like, who is the main character supposed to be. You know, it doesn't really work too well when you make the main character of your horror movie the horror villain that's going around killing people. You know, at first you could like maybe justify what she's doing, like, oh, you know, her family, you know, this family did something or whatever that caused her father to go on a murder-suicide spree. I wasn't really paying attention in the beginning. I don't know what set off this whole chain of events. But anyway, the nurse, the main character, I suppose, her father kills her brother, her mother, and himself. And so the guy who's somewhat responsible, apparently, he finds out, has like a heart attack, and he's not even like, he's like in a coma, but he can still feel and see everything that's going on. So she ends up being his nurse, so she can torment him and kill his family, which could be justified, maybe, if that's what they were trying to do. But then eventually he started, like, killing innocent people to accomplish things like, okay, no, she's not justified anymore at all. But she's still the main character, and she still dies and doesn't accomplish what she wants, so it just kind of seems like, so? And then after that, I watched Meadowwoods. Found footage. Great. This is a found footage movie about 3 white kids who are bored, so they want to film themselves kill somebody, kill a stranger, but not a stranger, because it's someone they know from school. So, not a stranger. And, yeah. I guess just further propelling the stereotype that all white guys are just waiting for a reason to kill people. Okay. I guess not as predictable as I thought it was. The dialogue is very annoying. I really can't stand movies where characters feel like they're speaking off a manifesto. But whatever. I guess this was meh. So I guess that's somewhat of a better way to end this whole thing on a movie that was whatever. Spoiler alert for anyone who cares. Probably not. I'm actually thinking, how would you end up watching these movies if you don't have this 10 big box movies of horror? Because they're not on like Amazon Prime or Netflix or anything, and who goes out to buy this just by themselves? Because clearly these movies by themselves weren't selling good, or they wouldn't have put them in, you know, a DVD case with 9 other movies. So these are random ass obscure movies. And I like how they slipped the Prom Night in there to be like, oh, you need something. We'll throw in one movie that you might have heard to entice people to get it. Like, oh, I get Prom Night and 9 other horror movies? Sign me up for that. And then you find out that Prom Night and all the other 9 are terrible, so. Yeah. I probably won't do something like that again. At least I hope. I'd definitely like to stick to 5. I feel like 5 is a nice, good, strong number. Don't have to do more than 5. Don't have to spend 14 plus hours watching crap. But until then, I will see you guys next time.